All right, guys, we have yet another development in the case against the alleged Gretchen Whitmer kidnappers, that whole plot, which was exposed shortly before the presidential election. Of course, we've been tracking here how first we learned that perhaps a majority or more than a majority of those involved in this plot were feds. Okay, so that's revelation number one. Then we start to learn about these people and what just a crew of criminals effectively they are. One of them gets pulled because he has a domestic violence incident with his wife. Another one is accused of perjury. Another one has some consulting shop that he's using to grift off his government work. I mean, it's just been one thing after another with these folks. And it's really undermined the case that the government is trying to make against these kidnap plotters. So here's the very latest. Let's throw this up on the screen. And BuzzFeed, to their credit, they are the only ones who have been doing any work in journalism on this. So the latest is the government now says a key informant in the Michigan kidnapping case was a double agent. Claim is the latest complication in a high-profile case that once seemed like a slam dunk. So here are the details. Federal prosecutors say a key FBI informant was a double agent who was actually working against the interests of the government by trying to destroy evidence and prevent arrests. That confidential informant, Stephen Robeson, played a central role in the investigation that led to the arrest of 14 men for allegedly participating in a plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. At the direction of his FBI handlers, Robeson reached out to potential targets. He organized meetings. He paid travel expenses for people to attend such events. And now the government appears to be totally disowning its own operative, saying that he deceived the FBI and at times actively aided targets of the investigation. So again, take note, they actually, at the direction of his FBI handlers, he was reaching out to targets, organizing meetings, paying for travel expenses. This was all at the government's direction. That shows you how influential these informants were in helping to create and facilitate this plot against Gretchen Whitmer, which is, you know, that's all stunning in and of itself, because you're not supposed to be actually creating plots. You're supposed to be observing and exposing them, not, you know, facilitating them and inventing them out of whole cloth. And it seems like he played an incredibly central role in putting this whole thing together. And now the government says, oh, we thought this guy was on our side. Actually, it turns out we got to disown him because he was working too much on their side.
Well, it's very important to understand that, because the defense was trying to get all of that admitted as evidence. And now that's why they're disowning him, in order to try and cast this out of the trial.
Yeah.
At this point, who do they have left to testify in this trial?
Honestly,
the feds themselves have been compromised. And now we know the more that comes out in the discovery process, you just learn time and again how many feds were involved in this, how it looks like a complete setup, so much of sketchy characters, including the agents themselves, who then got fired, right, from the agency for like beating their wife. I mean, look, it is very clear to me, if they knew what's better for them, they should drop the case, because the more that continues to come out on this, I'm not standing for the people who they're charging, by the way, but I also think that they very clearly at least got up to that line of entrapment here, and that the more it comes out, it's an embarrassment to them, to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We continue to just learn how much they leverage informants and allow them to commit crimes and try to use them in order to set people up. And whenever it hits these politically charged cases, especially their behavior in October of 2020, it just looks outrageous in its implications for what it meant to the political scene.
It seems like what happened here with this dude is that as discovery has gone on, it has become clear that he went way too far in terms of how much help he gave to the plotters that they've charged.
But that's
and so now, now they have to say, oh, well, actually, he wasn't, even though we were helping him and we thought he wasn't actually ours. He was actually on their side. That's why he provided them with so much help and support, which may have gone, you know, it may have been a situation where they saw, oh, if this is our guy and they can show all the things that he did to help further this plot, it's going to be hard to argue against an entrapment defense. I just want to say, I mean, this is exactly the playbook that was run during the War on Terror. It's the exact same tactics. And, you know, it was very unsympathetic at the time to make the case in favor of the individuals who were being indicted on terrorism charges. It's the same thing here. It is not, these are not sympathetic individuals. And so it can be dicey and complicated to make the case, that this was effectively, the feds were way too involved here, that they furthered the plot in a way that, ultimately amounted to entrapment. But the more that we learn, the more that it really looks like this. And this doesn't make the public safer. This doesn't serve the public interest.
Not at all.
It serves political ends of some, prosecutor, law enforcement officials getting to say in their resume that they exposed this plot. And that's what, that's the only end that this ultimately furthers. It does not make us safer when you have the government actually creating more plots than would have existed before. So again, the more we learn about this, the more questionable the whole thing ultimately seems.
There you go.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. More for you later. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.